Welcome to This Just In, the show bringing you the latest advancements in healthcare, strategy, innovation, and public policy. And now, for the fastest voice in healthcare, here's your host, Justin Barnes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the special edition of This Just In Radio. I'm your host, Justin Barnes. Today, we're broadcasting live from Health 2025 in sunny Las Vegas. Very excited to be here. It's already been an action-packed 48 hours since I landed. The prominence of this specific show grows every year, and I'm fortunate to be able to host and broadcast annually from here. Rich Scarfo and the entire health team are extremely supportive, and I'm tremendously grateful. Also, make a special note of thanks to Dan Kendall for his support in managing all these health broadcasts and recording. He's been terrific. This is actually my 11th year broadcasting from a healthcare industry conference, and certainly people like Dan and my full-time producer, Roberta Mullen, has helped us just create a top-notch show, but also win 2024 Podcast of the Year. Very grateful for that. And all of my guests for sure there too. For today, though, I have a fantastic lineup of CEOs, CIOs, care providers, policy leaders, and visionaries. If you miss any of this broadcast or want to hear more of This Just In Radio shows, they're all posted at Amazon Music, YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Spreaker, and the TuneIn platforms. As many of you know, my goal for broadcasting live each year from these key conferences is to create an information medium that shares best practices, strategies, and actionable intelligence from the industry's leading sources and experts. My goal, along with all my guests here, will be to offer tactics and strategies to not only survive, but thrive as you navigate your hospital, your physician practice, your company, your community, or even your family through all these changes occurring across healthcare. There's nothing more important, and there's more opportunity than ever before for all of us to thrive. But we must understand how healthcare is evolving, how policy and reimbursement is shifting, and where best practices and innovation can support our efforts. I hope you glean all of that over the next few days. That's at least my goal. Now, on to my guests. Welcome back to This Just In Radio show, broadcasting live from Health 2025 in sunny Las Vegas. I'm very excited to introduce my next guest and good friend, Michael Silverstein, Managing Partner of Healthcare and Life Sciences, DRI. Welcome back to the show, my good friend.
Hey, thank you, Justin. Good to see you.
It's good to see you. So first of all, tell me about the show. It's been a good couple days for you here.
It's been a really good couple days, other than a bout of food poisoning when I got here.
From the airplane before?
Bad turkey sandwich at the Tampa airport from the Hudson News. No. Put me out of commission for about 24 hours. But
dude, that's brutal.
Got an IV upstairs.
Yeah, good.
It was the least interesting story that they've heard. And then, but back at it. And lots and lots of meetings, lots of get together with good friends. And
absolutely.
It seems like there's a good buzz in the air.
There is. This is actually an electric show. Every year it gets a little bit better. High quality people. I love it here. I wouldn't miss it at this point. So starting off, what's some of the fun, great progress that you're seeing across the industry that you don't talk about?
I'll tell you what. I mean, we've seen in the last, 5 in health and the last few shows, like AI is like real. It is being purchased and acquired, and it's like it's moving. Like the capabilities are just light speed moving from like week to week. Things are getting better and more competitive. And I think I work with a lot of the investors that support the industry and invest in the industry. And I think it's keeping them on their toes and really having to be thoughtful around what is hot and can actually stay hot and
right.
What's going to be a commodity in a month and a half.
There you go.
Which has been really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I did a live broadcast out of Atlanta last week for the Georgia HIMSS annual conference, and the resounding theme was, is all CIOs that I had on the show in the program, and the resounding topic and conversation was where they're deploying AI and how it's making tangible difference in their healthcare system. And one of them, they're throwing out numbers of, say, maybe $5 million, $8 million, $10 million on just on the revenue cycle side, never mind on the care strategy side. Mm-hmm. So lots of opportunity, but it's not just about talk and hype. This is about rubber meeting the road, making tangible difference in health systems. And obviously we want to see them on the practice side as well. Most of my guests and listeners are usually upmarket in the health systems, but certainly these are benefits that can be seen at the practice level and the clinic level for sure. So, I love to hear it. And I actually had Rasu on yesterday, and what they're doing with Advocate and the demonstrable differences that AI is making, not only on their financial side, but certainly in their care strategy, giving patients the care that the attention, the care that they need remotely, not necessarily being in proactive care. So it's establishing, there's some cool pieces there that I'll probably bring up later on in our talk as well to keep an eye out for. But from your perspective, what healthcare, digital health trends are you seeing out there? Obviously, you mentioned AI and some of the progress there, but what else are you seeing out there that excites you?
I think what we're really seeing is like the structural labor shortage, technology is, I think investors have gotten behind technology around workforce. The conversations I've had in the last 2 days, workforce has come up in almost all of them. And workforce was something that would seem pretty settled in the hospital space 5 years ago. And I think the fact that, every health system in the country can't hire enough nurses and their margins are just totally crushed, where can they move roles and processes into using tech?
Yep.
How can they avoid spending money with staffing agencies and overtime and things like that, while not reducing quality of care? And I think there's been an emphasis on not just supplementing that, but the other two things that I see are keeping clinicians working at top of license. Right. So making sure that your surgeons are doing procedures and not consults, and as much that they can take off a doc's plate to do with an NP or do with AI, right, to keep the margin there. And then also clinician like satisfaction. So
absolutely,
I've got some clients that are focused on actually the mental health of clinicians within the hospital. That are doing some really cool things. How to clinician safety. I've got a couple clients that are doing some really innovative things around how to prevent actually patient on clinician violence in the hospital, which is growing
issue, absolutely.
And the these guys are selling major health systems left and right and really fast because it's a top 2-3 issue for the CEOs of these big health systems. And they're not even worried about ROI. They want to just figure out something to keep your
employees safe.
Show the workforce that they're looking out for them. So those are things I'm seeing.
Wow, I love that. So you're heavily on the workforce side. So even from your perspective, first of all, what's your goal for attending Health and Vive and HIMSS and all those good shows? What's your main goal there? And then I have a follow up on that.
Look, I go to all these shows for many, many years because I got to show the people that are in this industry that I'm part of the industry.
Absolutely.
I think part of
you're critical to our industry.
Oh man, thank you. But part of my sauce is really, look, I got to understand, to be able to speak to the different constituents, the investors, the C-level, the candidates, what have you. I've got to understand the industry. I've got to understand healthcare, and I think, I tell prospective, customers, I'm like, look, if you don't require healthcare for this role, we're not the right firm. Right. And so to me, that means I have to know healthcare really well if I'm telling them that. So,
absolutely.
That's been a big piece. And my other big piece is I very much try to be a connector. So I have put investors together with other investors. I put companies together with other companies to partner, made connections between companies and investors, just putting people together that, if I sit and just take a minute to think who should know each other, where 1 + 1 = 3, and trying to, really create as much value as I can by putting people together.
Love that. Appreciate that. So from your perspective, being obviously on the workforce enablement and recruiting side of the house, what are you seeing as some of the trends there? I mean, obviously talent is always critically important. Companies, it's why, I had an affinity for what you do, because a company is not their product, a company is their people. And I've, done well in a couple of companies for that exact reason, because I had amazing people with me for the entire journey. I'm still friends with almost all of them to this day. So it's a blessing from that perspective as well. But what are you seeing from a kind of your standpoint, your vantage point into that, of how we're developing as an industry on the workforce and how to find those right people for the fit?
Yeah, great question. I think, look, there is Epic and Judy cast a big shadow, right? And I think on the back end of meaningful use, there are a lot of people that have worked for many, many companies in this industry that frankly have had a ton of headwinds trying to sell against Epic, right? And so there's a lot of dead bodies on the side of the road, right? And so folks, I think, a lot of folks have struggled to kind of get in a groove and find a nice long-term home because, anytime Epic tells you their roadmap is going to include X, right? Like that puts whole pieces of this industry in jeopardy in certain places. And so I think healthcare continues and the workforce continues to expand and look at like care outside the four walls of the hospital.
Right.
In the outpatient, post-acute, behavioral health, I see we're doing a ton in health plan, a ton in how do we turn, help these physician practices turn into clinical trial sites and things like that to figure out other avenues to bring revenue into these practices to allow them to continue to function and have healthcare be a desirable industry for the brightest people in this country to go into. So, that I think technology is helping to enable some of that and the real adoption of AI to actually improve margin, save time, save expense. I think that's how we get our way out of what is a really precarious time because the cost of healthcare continues to go up so much.
It does.
There's not enough docs graduating school. There's not enough, it's just, there are structural issues, and I think technology is probably the only way we're going to get out of it. So that's why this conference like this is so important.
Yep. Excellent point. So what, I guess you have a good bead on the investor community for sure. What are some of the thoughts from that perspective on innovation or even human capital, the world that you're in, and maybe those intersections? I mean, again, you have a unique perspective. So, speak on their behalf a little bit or some of the thoughts there.
Yeah. Look, I think anybody that's selling anything into a health system, and if you think about the investors, where they're sitting way upstream trying to think of, okay, we're going to put a bunch of money into something and we need that to, oftentimes using those dollars to propel the commercial activity of these companies over the next 4, 5, 6 years, right? I think the folks that have had good outcomes from an investment perspective are the ones that really lean in both as, okay, does your technology has real use case and have real ROI and real metrics that, it can move the needle for your customers.
Yep.
And, look, are there some decent operators in these businesses?
That's right.
I think what one of the biggest learnings coming out of 21 and 22 is you can't just back an operator because they have a cool piece of tech and they can't operate their way out of a paper bag.
Correct.
You need leaders. You need people that can rally people and can run a real business, not just keep raising the money to get out of problems.
There you go.
Right. And I think that's the good savvy investors in healthcare are leaning into that.
Yep.
And I think what I have heard is look, valuations are starting to get kind of silly again, and the Silicon Valley influence of looking for more unicorns with companies that have cool tech but no real revenue or customers. There's still some of that influence, but the good investors that I really work closely with are the ones that lean in and hire good operators and good leaders. So,
well said, my friend. In closing, any more conferences on the docket this year for you?
Not for the rest of this year. Thankfully, this one, and we'll be at Vive in LA, which we already said, has replaced JP Morgan on our calendar, which I'm really not sad about. As running around in the rain in San Francisco in January is really tough.
It is.
But, I know RSNA is a big one in November that I've been to a whole bunch of times.
Chicago usually,
Yeah, that's a great one. But no, I'm wrapping up my conference schedule, but look forward to Vive in February. And I know you keep everything moving and keep everybody informed on what's going on. So appreciate what you do for the industry, Justin.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, I'll be at Thrive in Nashville in a couple of weeks at the Athena show, and then reInvent AWS show in Vegas, back out here in 6 weeks. But then I'm done. Until Vive, and then I'll be in LA for sure. So
very good.
Awesome, Michael. Thank you so much for joining us today, brother.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you,
Appreciate you.
Welcome back to this Justin Radio Show, broadcasting live from Health 2025 in sunny Las Vegas. I'm very excited to introduce my next guest and great friend of the show, Dr. Kamal Jethwani, co-founder, Decimal.health and VP of Digital Ventures with Moffitt Cancer Center. Welcome back to the show, my good friend.
Thank you. Excited to be here with you.
Excited for you to be here. We caught up a little bit last night at the great reception. But first of all, it's been a fun couple of days for you.
Yeah, amazing. The show is always great. I mean, a lot of energy this time, especially around all the AI stuff. So super fun.
So before we dive into all the questions, tell us a bit about Decimal Health. You're right up the street from me. We've never connected. I live in Sarasota now. You obviously moved down from, we first met, you were in Boston at Harvard. Or up in, but now you're down in, you live in Tampa? Yeah. Yeah. So tell us about Decimal Health real quick.
Yeah, so Decimal Health, I launched it 5.5 years ago with the idea that digital health companies and startups, tech companies especially, did not know quite how to sell these solutions successfully to health systems and pharma companies and payers.
Yep.
And I was inside a health system for 15 years, being on the other side of it.
Yes.
So I decided to start Decimal as a way to help that. And it was really incredible. It was right at the start of the pandemic where everyone was trying to sell in, and we got really good traction at the beginning. So Decimal has grown since then. It's been for over 5 years. We've done over 110 clients. We now service pharma companies, health systems, and startups and tech companies. Yep. And very recently had some really interesting successes, like the Samsung Zelt acquisition was actually work that my team did.
Yeah.
So really exciting stuff in the market. And as I grew Decimal, one of the things that I kept thinking about is I'm really helping a lot of other people make very successful companies, and that I would love to sort of translate that into sort of more exponential sort of upside for my team and really create some impactful companies, right? Yep. So that was a conversation I started with Moffitt Cancer Center about 14, 15 months ago.
Yep.
And now we've collaborated together to create a venture studio called Acceleron, which I'm really excited about.
Love that. So, yeah, and we'll do another follow-up show just on that because there's a lot of fun stuff. And also, I do want to get to some real cool cancer items that we talked about last night.
Yes.
But before we get there, what progress are you most excited that you're seeing in the industry today?
Oh, my God. I've been in digital health for 22 years. And I'll tell you, this year, it truly finally feels like it's our time. Look at the amount of energy and money that AI companies are raising, and it's not just on vaporware, it's actually real solutions that are being implemented.
Yep.
Look at what the AI scribe industry has done. Look at the fact that Open Evidence raised another $200 million yesterday. And Aura Ring just raised $900 million. Like, this is all becoming real, right? And the revenues they have are exciting. The amount of traction they have is exciting, which means that people are finally using it. And the fact that an AI assistant and an AI co-pilot is now part of the usual lexicon in a health system is amazing, right? Nurses, frontline workers, everyone's talking about that, and that's what's really exciting.
Love it. So, what about, since you do know the health system so well, the inside perspective, obviously we see how we're AI, and I don't want to steal some of your thunder, but maybe help with some of the workforce thoughts, because we have certainly concerns. My last guest just brought up, how we do have workforce concerns, certainly inside the health systems and healthcare in general. What are some of your thoughts there on where AI can make a difference?
Yeah, there's so much waste, and I say waste not from a financial perspective, but like energy efficiency, time, etc. Right? In the way we deliver care, in the entire journey that we have for our patient, right? And so I think if we can start to use these tools for improved efficiency, I think that really helps. Not just in the normal ways that you would think about, right? So it's not just getting patients in faster and getting more revenue. That's obviously part of it. The other part of it, which is really interesting, is that it frees up people to do more of what they are actually trained and licensed to do. So if everyone's practicing at the top of the license, we are actually all much more effective as a health system. People are burning out less because they're not doing repeatable tasks, and people are sort of more excited and energized at their work. That makes us better clinicians for our patients, and that makes everything go better. So I think workflow perspective, in the entire patient journey, from an operational perspective, lots of opportunity. I also have started seeing a lot of applications in the clinical side, right? So we think of physicians as sacrosanct, but just think about the fact that medical knowledge is doubling every 73 days, right? Nobody's keeping up with it. Nobody's keeping up with it.
Yes.
And so at some point, AI is going to be the only way we can keep up with it clinically, right? And so if you want your patients to have the best treatment possible, I don't think there is a way outside of AI. I don't.
So even to that end, I mean, Rasu yesterday brought up how if you're not using AI in part of your care strategy, there could be malpractice involved. Certainly, John Holm could run that for the last year on my show. Like, if you're not using AI, just to your point, how much new information comes out? Peer-reviewed journals, information comes out every single day. There's no way you can keep up. AI is the only way that you can keep up. And within the next 3 to 5 years, if you're not using AI to augment your care strategy, you're probably going to practice
I mean, in cancer especially, guidelines have been updated 270 times this year.
There you go.
Already. Right?
270.
270 times already.
Yeah, I think last time you asked me, I said 5. No, 270.
And in specific cases like breast cancer, et cetera, it's like 20, 30, 40, 50 times that guidelines are getting updated. What do you do with that? How are you ever going to keep up with it? If they're getting updated every week, you're not keeping up with that. Right? So how do you then provide the best guideline concordant care to your patients?
Love it. Well said. So we talk about AI, workforce. Any other trends that you're seeing in the industry that we should keep an eye out on?
Yeah, I think personalization of care. And again, when I say that, people think genetics. I don't really mean just that, right? But the fact that we're using wearables to get better information about people, I think people are starting to take care in their own hands a little bit more, which I think is exciting. Employers are moving more in a direction in that way. I think this whole new movement of sort of the expanding the health span, I think is really interesting, right? And I read somewhere, don't quote me, but a couple of weeks ago that we're probably going to live longer than 100, right? Our generation.
I'm quoting
right?
you.
And so if we're going to live that long, what are we doing? Like we want to live healthy. Right. We don't want to be spending 25 years in hospice or whatever,
absolutely.
right? So I think that's really where that's another area where I think digital and AI can be really groundbreaking.
Yep. Well said. Excellent. Thinking about, or thinking beyond today, thinking about tomorrow, what's something that we need to be ready to navigate in 2-3 years from now that we maybe have not spoken about today or we've not seen on the health floor? What do you think of the future?
Yeah, so I'll say 2 or 3 things. One, because of the use of artificial intelligence, we're going to start to see way more volume of data being generated, right? And I'm already hearing the term called note bloat. Right? Because now we're using AI scribes, it's transcribing everything. Now you have 30-page notes. Now I need an AI summarization tool to get it down to 1 page. And then I need basically now we're creating so much data. And that's good, right? The data. Eventually, at some point, that data is going to become too much for humans to read. In 3 to 5 years, we're going to be in the opposite side of the problem where we have too much data and, we're going to need a lot of help processing it. So that is something that, again, could go back in that same direction of creating a lot of burnout and process problems, right? That's one. The second thing I think that could be important is as we're bringing all these different disparate systems together, the problem of interoperability hasn't been solved yet, and we pretend it's been solved, but that's only going to get worse, right? So if your Aura Ring doesn't really talk to your EMR, doesn't really talk to your AI scribe, like you're now creating all this data in silos. And then the third thing I'll say is I said this yesterday on stage, change management. We need to bring everyone along, and if we don't, then you're just going to start to see silos in the health systems. And I already see that early adopters versus late adopters. You're almost starting to see that tension grow in hospitals,
right?
And that's only going to create a culture that's not trusting of technology.
Excellent. Nope. Nice. You bring up data. And this is why we had a massive disagreement last night at the reception. You and I actually totally agreed, but our other friend who we'll hear from in a moment disagreed with us. But I said, I believe there is enough data just in the state of Florida, I use as an example, because we always say in America we have enough data siloed to cure all cancers, whatever. Some people have said that. I said in the state of Florida we have enough siloed data to cure cancer, and I think the debate was maybe some cancers.
Yep.
So, which then we had a great discussion regarding that. But let's bring that up here, because I'm actually going to create a whole talk track. I'm going to do a whole show series on just this topic.
Okay.
With you and Dane and everybody else and some other great people we'll bring in. But so let's talk cancer. Better yet, let's talk curable cancers. Give me some really cool stats there that you were throwing around last night.
Yeah. So many of our cancers are curable now, right? And if they're not curable, they're manageable as a chronic disease. And the problem is that all the information available for that is already available, right? But it's not reaching the people that are making treatment decisions. So today we already have enough information, we have enough data, and we actually have enough medications and molecules that we can manage a lot of cancers as a chronic disease, right? Curing is a difficult word, and I won't go there, right? But to me, that in itself is good enough, right? If we can stop cancer from being a death sentence, and if I can give you the entire lifespan that you're going to have anyway, but you're just going to take an extra pill a day like diabetes, right? I think we're good.
Yep.
And I think that we have enough today for many, many cancers that we can already do that. One example I'll give you is research that is being done at Moffitt, where we're using a mathematical algorithm to be able to determine how much dose to give you to augment your immune system, right? And we basically tailor your dose up or down using a math model. It's a drug that was produced 50 years ago, right? It's a generic drug that we're using in that. And so far, we have a study going on that we haven't been able to close because not enough people have died in that study. And in our previous study, we increased lifespan by 60 months compared to the average use of the drug. So people who use the drug every day, regularly, versus people who use the math model to go up and down on the dosage, they got an extra 60 months of survival.
Wow.
So it's a drug that was available 50 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
So just think about all the things we can do with the data and how we apply it to be able to make cancer basically a chronic disease.
Yep.
And that's really what I'm passionate about. It's like we need to stop cancer being a death sentence.
Right.
Shouldn't happen.
Cancer needs to be a chronic disease.
Correct.
Yeah. And classified such, and yeah, let's
Yes.
go. Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna, like I mentioned, I'm gonna bring much more resources in this direction. I want to talk about this. That's very educational. And so I think that last night, if I remember correctly, you said roughly, I don't want to put words in your mouth, 70% we could address this way of cancers, ballpark.
Yep. And
that's extremely encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, 70% we could address in that way. And by the way, there's so many parts of the patient journey that can be optimized to fix this, because the answer is not just in the medication. We think that the biggest moves are being made by pharmaceutical companies. That's actually not that true. Right? Today, only 20% patients that are eligible for advanced therapies are getting them. Wow. So what are you producing all these advanced therapies for? When 80% of the patients that are eligible aren't even getting them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So if we equalize access and we actually make it available, if you freeze in time today, drug development, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all you focus on is equalizing access and making sure it's optimally accessible, you're going to fix the problem. You're going to fix the problem. And think about how much money we're spending on drug development.
Absolutely.
So I'm not saying you should, right? But I'm saying, like, let's do both things together.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Kamal, Dr. Jethwani, thank you so much for joining the show. We're going to do this again real soon.
All right.
Thank you,
I'm
brother.
excited. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.